Hey, so one of my favorite character tropes in anime is the strong, shy girl. You know the one I'm talking about? Like the soft, shy, innocent girly girl who just happens to be
There! Got you!
just impossibly strong. And for no reason, too. I mean, maybe there's a reason for them to be strong, but there's no reason for them to be that strong. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. I think it's great. I love this trope. Just the irony of a cutesy, girlish attitude being combined with hulking, demigod like strength is just so adorable and hilarious to me. What can I say? It scratches an itch. So, when I watched the Gorilla Gods Go To Girl, I thought it would be one of my all time favorites for this very reason. It's not. I'll talk more about why later, but let me introduce you to what the show is first. Here's the deal. In this world, everyone gets a blessing from an animal themed deity, and depending on which animal blesses them, they get certain abilities. Like if you're blessed by a bird god, you'll probably be able to fly and like have wings and stuff. Or if you're blessed by the cheetah god, you'll be able to run fast, and you get the idea. Our protagonist, Sophia Reeler, is the quiet, social outcast of her school. She's awkward, nobody likes her, she's the perfect shy girl archetype. When Sophia goes up to receive her blessing during the ceremony thing, she receives the Gorilla Blessing, which is one of the rarest and most powerful blessings of all, and it gives her the strength and abilities of a gorilla. And by that, I mean it makes her however strong she needs to be in the given situation. I mean, come on, guys. Gorillas are not that strong. They're stronger than humans, but my lord, they cannot do that. Okay. So yeah, that's the premise of the show. I like it a lot. I think the blessing thing gives it a lot of creative potential, and they do actually make the most of it. I think. Of course, I love Sophia's character. She's our strong, shy girl, and I was really excited to watch the show when it was first recommended to me. So, why don't I like it? Well, before I get into that, I want to do a brief, and I mean brief, overview of the show. If you haven't yet, I recommend watching it for yourself. It's on Crunchyroll. It's not bad by any means. I just think it squashed its potential. And I'll explain why in a minute, but for now, let's get into it. So, there are 12 episodes, though I'm pretty sure only 5 of them are actually important, but whatever. Sophia gets her blessing, she does some strong shy girl stuff, and eventually she's forced to join the Knights. Though it's never actually said that she was forced to join the Royal Knights, it is heavily implied that there's a lot of pressure and that bad things could happen to her or her family if she refused. So, yeah, I'm saying that she was forced. And remember that because I'm going to come back to it later. So she takes the night exam, and despite her best efforts, she outperforms everyone. Naturally. Also, this is when we meet the love interests. Oh, did I forget to mention this is a harem anime? My bad. We got Dreamboat 1, 2, and 3. Though she only ever gets with this one, so it really doesn't matter. Let's move on. Anyway, she joins the Knights. Most of the actual show is just a bunch of cute, lovey dovey stuff between her and Sir Louis. That's his name, by the way. But the main overarching plot is actually pretty interesting. So basically, there's this anti monarchist group called Daybreak, and this dude, Leohart, is their leader. The heroes interact with them like 2 whole times in the whole season, once to defuse a bomb that they planted in the school, and once during the finale.
Skipping to said finale, the terrorists take the school and a bunch of hostages. Sophia and friends beat the bad guys. The end, happily ever after, to be continued, question mark. It's a pretty straightforward ending. Obviously, there's more to it, so just go watch it if you haven't. I really don't want to explain anything that isn't totally necessary to make my point, so just go watch it, okay? Do yourself a favor.
So, my main issue with this show is the way that they handled the villain character. Yeah, okay, this guy. One thing I'm always looking for in a story is a good villain character, like a good, well written antagonist. This is not it. I said earlier that they squashed their potential with the story, and what I meant by that is that they set this guy up to be a good villain, they gave him a great backstory and all that, but they dropped the ball with his execution. Like, his actions aren't consistent with his motivations at all. Let me explain. So, his backstory is that he grew up in this very poor area. All the houses were run down, and everyone only lived off of whatever scraps the local noble would throw at them. Leohart worked hard to take care of these three, which appeared to be the only real family he ever had. Eventually, that noble I was talking about offers to adopt Leohart. He says that he wants to bring attention to the poverty and help the less fortunate like him and his friends. Or so he says. After thinking it over, he agrees to join the Duke's family. Shortly after, he partakes in the blessing ceremony, where he receives the leopard blessing. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, in earlier episodes, they say that the gorilla blessing is one of two super powerful blessings. Well, this is the other one, the leopard blessing. After Leohart receives his blessing, the Duke is elated. He remarks on how this will boost his family's standing with the royalty, and his actual intentions become evident. It's clear that he has little interest in helping the poor, and that he was just pretending in order to convince Leohart to join his family and boost his influence. Eventually, Leohart finds out that the Duke sent people to the ghetto that he used to live in, and they burned it to ruin, killing one of his family members in the process, all in the name of disposing garbage. Naturally, this kinda irritates Leohart, who kills the Duke, and then goes off to start Daybreak, the anti-monarchist group with the mission statement of creating a world where people's roles in society aren't entirely dictated by their blessings. How about that? Solid backstory, sympathetic motivations, perfect characterization for a solid antagonist. And I'm sure the writers are going to make the most of this and give us a villain we can take seriously. Right?
I will see that you're well taken care of. All the love I have to give is yours. You're my soulmate. My partner of destiny.
Ugh, this guy. Okay, here's the issue, alright? Leohart doesn't really interact with Sophia that much throughout the season. It's only like twice. We don't know anything about him until episode 11, and he doesn't really do anything until episode 12. Point being that there's only so much we have to go off when analyzing his character, and what little we do have is wildly inconsistent. Out of nowhere, he starts acting super possessive towards Sophia, which is pretty jarring and super out of character. I mean, his backstory and motivations make him seem at least somewhat noble, but now he's just acting like a creep. Like all he wants is to get with Sophia. Like that's his only motivation now. It feels like there were two writers in charge of his character who were bickering about how to write him and didn't exactly come up with a compromise. One of them wanted to make a compelling villain with complexity and nuance, while the other just wanted a generic bad guy that you don't think too much of or take too seriously and who only exists to get beat up by the good guys. I don't have a problem with either of these. I definitely prefer a more nuanced villain, but I think it's fine if you just want to have a bad guy for the sake of having a bad guy. Nothing more, just a good villain who's only there to give the good guys someone to fight. There's nothing wrong with that. But you can't do both, okay? Just pick one and stick with it. You can't take your villain seriously and also not take him seriously at the same time. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't work, okay? That's just not how this works. What I'm trying to say, as it more specifically pertains to the show, is that if you're going to make a character sympathetic, you have to show them some kind of sympathy. Like, we got Leohart's backstory, his motivations, we got the feelings going for him, but then they just kicked his ass and arrested him. Like, what? And they never really do anything with his past or address the problems that he was trying to solve. They just kiss happily ever after at the end, and it feels so underwhelming. Like, yeah, they beat the bad guy, but the bad guy was kind of arguably right, so now I don't know how to feel about it. I personally think the story would be much more interesting if they explored his side of things more, like if they stuck with Leohart's point of view for a while. It would have been way better if he was maybe written as this sort of cunning and manipulative kind of villain, rather than just a weird playboy. Here's an idea. What if Leohart successfully convinced Sophia to defect from the Knights and join Daybreak? It's not unreasonable. Sophia has strong moral convictions, yes, but she also has a strong sense of justice, so she likely wouldn't stand for the inequality amongst the citizens. Also, let's not forget that she was basically forced to join the Knights, so she can sympathize with Leohart. In a way, they're both victims of the same jacked up society. If they had written Leohart to be more tactful and strategic of a character, I think it would be realistic for him to convince Sophia to join him. Just imagine if in episode 11, Leohart planted the idea of defecting in Sophia's head. Like if he wasn't so forceful and he just merely presented the option to her in a polite, reasonable manner. Then, in episode 12, instead of taking the school hostage for no reason, they do something that challenges Sophia's views of the country or her views of the knights. Like maybe after she gets away from Leohart, she goes to Louis and talks with him about what Leohart said. You see, there's a point in the show where Louis comments on the state of inequality, but all he says essentially boils down to, well, that's life, I guess. Ain't much I can do about it. And he comes off as kind of apathetic. Sophia could see that dismissive attitude of his and conclude on her own that the kingdom truly doesn't value those with less desirable blessings. And since her and Leohard are the two strongest people in the world, maybe they could change that. She could have her own villain arc. He'd be the Emperor Palpatine to her Anakin Skywalker, helping her embrace the dark side of the Force. No, but seriously, I think that this could have worked. Treachery, when done right, can make a story much more exciting. When allies start to turn on each other, it creates narrative tension that keeps the audience on the edge of their seats. Now, of course, it would be a massive tonal shift. And like I said, Sophia is a pretty morally upstanding character, so I don't really see her committing terrorism. But maybe she would be the one to talk Leohart out of taking such extreme measures. Or maybe he would be the one to corrupt her and convince her that the only way to get their message across is through sheer force. Either way, I think this direction lays the groundwork for a much more interesting story than what we got, and I think it makes much better use of Leohart's character. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm not a writer, well, not professionally at least. This is just what I thought while I was watching the anime. Like I said, I'm not against a simplistic villain. If they just ditched the backstory and focused on making Leohart unlikable, I probably wouldn't have made this video. Well, either way, I don't hate the show. I like the premise. It's a real cute romance, and it centers around one of my favorite anime tropes. Definitely give it a watch if you have the time. Anyway, that's all I really have to say. Bye.